What is an NPDES Stormwater Permit, and do you need one? How much does it actually cost, and what happens if you don't have it? In this video, we're breaking down the key facts about NPDES permits, how they work, and why they matter more than most people realize. Stick around and we'll walk you through what to expect and how to stay in compliance without getting overwhelmed. I'm Chris Ruhlin from Resource Management Associates, your environmental experts, and today we're talking about NPDES Stormwater Permits, a key part of the Clean Water Act that applies to businesses across the United States. Let's start with the basics. NPDES stands for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. But here's the simple version. If stormwater runs off your property and goes anywhere, into a ditch, a pond, a pipe, or a nearby stream, there's a good chance you need this permit. And they do go by different names. VPDES, UPDES, NJPDES, SPDES, the list goes on and on and on. Regardless of what your state calls them, they're all NPDES permits at heart. And we're not just talking about obvious discharges through a pipe. This could be runoff during a rainstorm or a slow trickle from a process area. It's all regulated. So who needs this? Manufacturers, recyclers, concrete plants, transportation hubs, even smaller operations. If your site has industrial activities and rain hits exposed materials or equipment, that runoff is likely regulated under NPDES. These permits place conditions on what can leave your site in stormwater, and they typically require a Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, or a SWPPP, or an SWPPP, that lays out how you'll stay in compliance. Now, here's where it gets tricky. NPDES permits are federal in concept, but state-run in practice. Most states have what's called delegated authority, which means they run their own version of this program. So while the rules are based on the Clean Water Act at the federal level, how they're applied can vary dramatically by state. This is part of the reason they can have different names. The name, process, application forms, fees, timelines, even the compliance requirements can all look completely different depending on where you're located. In some states, you might qualify under a simple multi-sector general permit that covers a broad range of industries. In others, there could be an industry-specific general permit with their own unique requirements. And in some cases, you might need to apply for a full individual permit tailored to your specific site and operation. It doesn't stop there. Some states require a professional engineer to be involved in preparing your application or your SWPPP, while others don't. In some places, the person preparing your stormwater plan needs to hold specific certifications related to water quality or environmental compliance, and in other states, that doesn't apply. The bottom line, where you operate completely changes what's required. Even if your businesses looks the same on paper across state lines, they can vary state to state. So, what happens if you need a permit but don't have one? Short answer, nothing good. You could be in violation of federal and state law, which usually means fines, but it can also mean lawsuits, forced cleanup, and even third-party litigation. We've seen six-figure penalties and court-ordered actions. Trust me, it gets expensive fast. Here's why regulators care so much. The water leaving your site isn't just water. Would you drink it? If not, do you want it ending up in rivers, lakes, or groundwater? That runoff often carries sediments, oils, metals, nutrients, chemicals. Even just one discharge can cause serious environmental harm. So let's talk about cost, because that's the question we get most. So year one, you're looking at anywhere from $2,500 to $15,000 depending on your site size, industry, location, and permit complexity. The cost typically covers everything from filing your permit coverage to conducting site visits, developing your SWPPP, installing any necessary stormwater controls, and corresponding with regulatory agencies. In many cases, it also includes training your team to understand and follow the requirements laid out in your permit. And that's just a start. Ongoing compliance has its own price tag. Expect annual costs to run anywhere from 10 to 30% of your upfront costs, depending on how much and how involved your permit is. That includes stormwater sampling, lab fees, staff training, supplies, as well as annual reporting. So where do people slip up? Usually with missing or outdated SWPPPs, poor housekeeping, missed inspections, or completely skipping monitoring. Many assume that their site is too small or hasn't had complaints, but that's a risky mindset. If a regulator shows up or if there is a discharge event, that thinking falls apart rather quickly. So, can you do this yourself? Sometimes yes, but often it's worth getting outside help. Here at RMA, we start by reviewing your site, activities, and then we determine whether you qualify for a general permit or need something more tailored. From there, we handle applications, build your SWP, set up best practices, train your staff, and help manage ongoing compliance like sampling and reporting. It really depends on how much help you need. We're flexible. There's a lot more to NPDES compliance than we can cover in one video because a lot of it depends on you. So if you're unsure whether your site needs a permit, you need an updated SWP, or you aren't sure where to begin, let's talk. Call us, send an email, or visit our website to reach out. Use our NPDES permit pricing calculators, see what violations could cost you, and much more. We're here to help you figure out exactly what you need and how to get it done. Because at the end of the day, stormwater compliance isn't just red tape, it's a responsibility. And getting it right protects your operations, your reputation, and your bottom line. Let's get your NPDES stormwater permit handled the right way the first time. Thanks again for watching. I'm Ruhlin from Resource Management Associates, your environmental experts.